What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got a bunch of news we need to be having a little bit of a look about. So with all of that borne in mind, let's start off with, well, there's a whole bunch of things to have a look at, really. So let's start off having a look at an errata which has just come down. You see, this happens with some cards when we get the new sets. It has happened with Pika this time around. There is an actual errata, and this one does make a bit of sense, and it is one that we really need to know. Now, Pika is, of course, one of the new cards literally just released in OP05, and it's one of those Don Quixote pirates, 4 cost, 6,000 power. And at the end of your turn, you can pay 1 to set this character to active. That's fine, that's not an issue. The way the card is written and printed, it reads like this. End of your turn, if this character would be KO'd, you may rest up to one of your characters with a cost of 3 or more, other than Pika instead. Now that's, there's a mistake there. Now, the reason it's a really good skill is for stuff like Baby 5, for instance. And it is actually really cool for stuff like Baby 5. Because Baby 5 is a character that you're going to want to play. And you play her down. And she's got an activate main, pay 1, rest this character, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a Don Quixote pirate. Sounds good. Well, when you've found your Don Quixote pirates, if you want to keep your Pika on the board, you get rid of something like Baby 5 instead. Makes perfect sense. Well, the problem is, when they initially gave us this card, or the version they've actually given us, it reads, you may KO up to one of your characters. Well, up to one of your characters is 0 or 1. So what you would do is go, oh, it would be KO'd. I choose to KO none of my characters and keep Pika on the board. That's amazing. It means you don't actually have to KO one of your characters. For what it's worth, it actually makes Pika way better. But I think it makes Pika way better in a way that was very much not intended. So they've errated it now, and it now reads, end of your turn, pay 1, set this character to active. And then once per turn, if this character would be KO'd, you may rest one of your characters with a cost of 3 or more other than Pika instead. Which, I'll be honest with you, makes it a much worse card, but is clearly how it was intended to be used in the first place. The way it's actually been printed, it literally lets you just keep it on board forever, and that is not what the skill was supposed to do. The skill is supposed to let you sacrifice another character so that Pika stays on the field. That's awesome, but the way it actually got printed is way too good. So, yeah, the errata's come down, and you kind of understand why the errata had to come down here. It makes too much gosh darn sense. Okay, fine, we'll let you have it. Now, as I record this, there is something very interesting on the website, which I'm fairly sure is a typo, but we need to have a chat about. And that is, they have basically gone and fixed the banned restricted cards over on the website. Now, if you remember back to the other day, I showed you they basically sent tweets out and they told us, look, we've basically gone and done an update here. And what we've done is removed everything from the banned list except for Kabaji and Moby Dick, which for pretty obvious reason. Well, Moby Dick was kept on for a pretty obvious reason. Kabaji, I still don't think that Nami is broken enough with this to make it worth being banned. But hey-ho, that's where we are. And there was a whole thing that was sent out, and they made this whole big point about saying that they got rid of 7 of the cards on the banned list, but they specifically didn't mention Moby Dick and Kabaji, which were, of course, remaining banned. Which did honestly make a little bit of sense, and I'm like, alright, yeah, fair enough. Like I say, I still do think that Kabaji does not need to be banned. I don't think Nami would be that broken with it, but that's where they've come down. Whereas Moby Dick, boosting all of your Whitebeard pirates, including your leader, that really does seem like just absolutely ridiculously broken. I see why that's been banned. Fine. And the tweet was very clear. They removed the other 7, but they didn't say anything about Moby Dick and Kabaji, and because they didn't say anything about that, that tells us that they stayed on the list, and they were banned before, so they should be banned now. Well, if you go onto the website now, it says restricted cards, there are currently no cards in this category. Restricted cards, Moby Dick and Kabaji. I am 99.9% sure that is literally just a typo, and it is supposed to say restricted cards, there are currently no cards in this category. Banned cards, Moby Dick, Kabaji. Now, obviously, I cannot speak for Bandai. I could be wrong, but it makes no sense to have two things on the website, two categories on the website, both of which are restricted cards. That's a little bit weird and doesn't make a huge amount of sense. And also, it's a little bit weird that they literally mentioned nothing when they announced it initially, but now they've changed those cards from banned to restricted. For what it's worth, and like I say, I am pretty sure it's a typo, but for what it's worth, if it isn't a typo, and it doesn't really make much sense if it isn't, right? Let's be clear. But if it is a typo, then it's really interesting because all of a sudden we can use Moby Dick. And fine, Moby Dick is only one card in your deck. I understand it. It's not exactly going to be perfect. But Whitebeard Pirate cards can be searched to some degree. We have Izzo right now, which will let you search Whitebeard Pirates cards. Not Whitebeard Pirates characters. For what it's worth, remember the event card Whitebeard Pirates specifically says character. But Izzo doesn't. Izzo lets you search any Whitebeard Pirates card. So that would help you to search out Moby Dick a little bit faster. Make it a little bit more consistent getting Moby Dick out. So if it was restricted, and I really don't think it is, but just as a fun little discussion point, if it was just restricted, not banned, because all these Whitebeard Pirate decks kind of have to play 4 copies of Izzo anyway, it's just way too good for searching, then you do end up in an interesting situation where you might actually be able to find it more easily than your average restricted card. And you only need one in play, remember, because it's a stage. And it is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think it is restricted. I do think it is banned. But just as a side note, if it is restricted, this is kind of super interesting. Something else that's super interesting is what's going on over in Japan. What they've basically gone and done is taken a bunch of stores over in Japan that wouldn't usually get One Piece stuff and given them One Piece stuff. So these are like your Jump stores and your One Piece stores over in Japan. And generally speaking, well, I'll be honest with you, they're not phenomenal. And it's not that they're not fun, don't get me wrong. But generally speaking, what they basically have is books. And then the merch they have is like key rings and fairly uninspiring things, honestly. They're shops I didn't spend a huge amount of time in. Though I will say, they do have extremely cool statues. I want that on the record. Well, now they're getting proper One Piece TCG merch, and that is actually fantastic, and I think this is a big, big improvement. And they're getting some very cool stuff, like this binder, the one that comes with all the straw hats, with the manga backgrounds, that is amazing. Yes. Or this One Piece red binder, which is also amazing, and we absolutely love. Or these binders, which are actually just binders that don't come with cards, etc. But they've been around since the beginning of the game, and actually trying to pick these up in English right now is a real pain. So having these available is actually kind of amazing. And this is awesome. And it also represents a pretty big change. This is different to what we've seen before. Up till now, these stores, I will say, there was a One Piece store in Osaka where I did see a couple of official deck boxes. But that was it. That is not going to get people hyped about the One Piece TCG. What is going to get people hyped about the One Piece TCG is stuff like this Ace set with the promo and the playmat and the storage box. This is the kind of stuff that people are going to absolutely love and go and pick up when they go to these stores. That is the point here. And I love that they've done this. I think this is such a fantastic change. And I'm just so in favour of this. This is the kind of thing that is going to push the game forward. This is the kind of thing that is going to make a difference to the amount of people actually playing and enjoying the game. And I love this. Because I'm a big fan of the game. And I want the game to continue and to thrive and be awesome. And this is going to help that happen. Huge fan of this. And it's just one more example of Bandai going, hey, do you know what would be really cool and help the game? Do you know what would help push this game forward? What if we took some of these cool kind of promotional sets and whacked them into One Piece stores and Shonen Jump stores that people are going to visit who aren't into the game, but could be convinced to get into the game? That is awesome. Love it. So we've got an errata. We've got a potential change from banned to restricted, which I don't actually think is real. And we got these stores getting updated with actual cool stuff. And this all makes me very happy. Unless Whitebeard Pirates, unless that Moby Dick stage is actually restricted, that doesn't make me happy. But now I want to hear from you guys. Tell me your thoughts, tell me your feelings, tell me your opinions, tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.